Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've heard a lot about pensions here, and I care about American workers and their pensions. And you served as director of Sears Holdings, which is the parent company of Sears and Kmart, for about 12 years. You served on the Finance Committee, which was tasked with reviewing investment policies of the retirement plans of the company and its subsidiaries. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And as the chairman and CEO of Sears Holding is a gentleman named Edward Eddie Lampert, who I understand is your former college roommate.
Yeah, actually the benefit of he's here with us today.
Okay, good. So you're also an investor in the hedge fund, ESL Investments, which you're choosing not to divest yourself of, as I understand from your disclosure. The hedge fund is also run by Mr. Lampert. You earned up to $26 million from the hedge fund last year, according to your disclosures. That same hedge fund currently holds 29% of its portfolio in Sears stock. Mr. Lampert himself effectively owns 49% of Sears stock, according to public SEC filings. Is that all fair statements?
I think actually I've invested close to $26 million. I didn't make $26 million.
I won't equivocate with you. Now, Sears has been performing poorly, and as a result, forced to sell assets to cover operating costs and to contribute to its pension fund. Interestingly, several of the most valuable assets that have been sold in part to Mr. Lampert's hedge fund, including Land's End, Sears Canada, and most of Sears real estate. The real estate was sold off to a different entity whose largest shareholder is Mr. Lampert's hedge fund. And that seems to have resulted in a shareholder lawsuit, according to SEC filings. The Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation initiated an agreement with Sears to protect the pension benefits of more than 200,000 plan participants after the real estate deal and significant cut to pensioners' health subsidies that occurred during your watch. Unfortunately, the agreement with the PBGC puts the plan's pensioners behind Mr. Lampert's hedge fund in the ability to get assets from Sears in any bankruptcy proceedings. Because of this, because Sears has received at least $800 million in secured loans from Mr. Lampert's hedge funds, some of them secured by Sears properties, the Sears pension fund currently faces a $2.1 billion funding obligation gap. Now, I take these all from filings and public reports, and I assume that that basically is a fair statement.
That sounds about right, but let me
get to my question,
okay,
and then I'm
thank
happy
you.
to hear your answer. Are you aware that if you are confirmed as Treasury Secretary, you would become one of 3 board members of the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation that has the power to either accept or deny a pension plan termination application, such as that could occur with Sears bankruptcy, making the federal government cover Sears pension tab? Do you recognize that you're going to be part of that board? You do. Now, so here's where my concern is, and maybe you can elucidate it for me. You were a director at Sears for 12 years, where you had oversight over the administration and investment into the pension fund. That pension fund has been underfunded. Its benefits were cut during the time period that you were there. It now faces a $2.1 billion funding obligation gap. Sears has sold off some of the most valuable assets while you've been on the board. Your college roommate's hedge fund has large interest in the property sold, numerous secured loans with Sears, and owns a controlling share of Sears stock shares. You earned up to $26 million last year from your shares in that hedge fund, and you're refusing to divest yourself of the hedge fund. Should Sears go bankrupt, and you, if confirmed as Treasury Secretary, are a PBGC director who will have a role in the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation's attempts as an unsecured creditor to recover $2 billion for the unfunded liabilities in the Sears pension fund, while simultaneously trying to not lose money in your hedge fund investments in Sears that you hold with your college roommate, who is the CEO of Sears, how is it that you're going to do that?
So, again, let me just correct again, because you said again that I made $26 million, which I didn't. I invested $26 million. So I just want to make sure that the record stated that. Let me first say that my original involvement with Mr. Lampert was in Kmart coming out of bankruptcy, where all the professionals thought that Kmart should be liquidated, and Mr. Lampert working for him saved tens of hundreds of thousands of jobs. Sears, when he bought it, was already a failing issue, and the company has contributed multi-billion dollars to that pension fund, which were pension issues beforehand. So I am well aware of the pension issues, and something that when I was on the board, we were very cognizant of very significant contributions. And then as it relates to your answer, obviously I will recuse myself in any way as it relates to being on the board if indeed there ever were an issue with Sears, whether I had an investment in ESL or I didn't have an investment in ESL. I would be concerned about any appearance of conflict, so I would recuse myself.
Well, we'll have to look at the consequences of any such recusal, because there are 3 members of the board who get a vote. And if you recuse yourself under those set of circumstances, I'm not sure that the remaining 2 can ultimately make a decision on such a case which involves 200,000 people's pensions. So it's a serious issue, and I urge your attention to it in terms of thinking about how this very well may happen, because those pensions were underfunded. And now we're going to have a set of circumstances at some point where we're going to have to deal with it. And so I bring it to your attention because I think it's a serious challenge.
Okay, and again, I will work with the Ethics Office and the General Counsel to work through that. And again, I would just comment that Sears inherited, when it was purchased, a underfunded, and has contributed billions of dollars to this along the way.
It may have inherited it, but by the same token, it continued to underfund it.